Are you wondering how the bargaining power of suppliers is affecting your overall business? This video is for you. In the previous video, we continued our discussion of Porter's 5 forces. You will recall that the objective of Porter's 5 forces is to identify risks that are relevant to your business's specific set of circumstances and then rank those risks from low to high. This presentation will look at the fourth of these 5 forces, namely the bargaining power of suppliers. In the videos that follow, we will consider each of the remaining forces one by one. Please be sure to watch them all in order to guarantee an overall understanding of Porter's 5 forces and how they affect your competitive landscape. With that, let's dive into the presentation. Previously, in video number 1, we were introduced to an overall strategic management framework, and more specifically, the first step in that framework, namely developing the strategy. Then, in video number 2, we focused in on the second part of that first step, namely strategic analysis. In video number 2, we identified 5 different techniques that would form part of our strategic analysis toolkit. This presentation will focus on the fourth technique, namely Porter's 5 forces. Porter's 5 forces comprise 1. Rivalry among existing competitors, 2. The threat of new entrants, 3. The bargaining power of buyers, 4. The bargaining power of suppliers, and 5. The threat of substitute products or services. In this presentation, we will look specifically at the fourth of these 5 forces, namely the bargaining power of suppliers. The first point to consider within the bargaining power of suppliers is supplier concentration relative to its customers. A supplier group is powerful if it is more concentrated than the industry it sells to. Some examples include 1. Microsoft selling operating systems to computer assemblers, 2. Boeing and Airbus selling planes to all airlines. For example, Lightweight Finance relies heavily on online distributors and ancillary services. While there are multiple options, there are certain big players who have power when it comes to their profit share on advertising revenues. The online platforms also have the power to remove Lightweight Finance's presence. This risk is therefore high. The next point to consider within the bargaining power of suppliers is that suppliers may serve diversified industries. The supplier group is powerful if it does not depend on the industry for its revenues. Suppliers serving many industries will not hesitate to extract maximum profits from each one. On the other hand, if a particular industry represents a major part of a supplier group's volumes or profits, they will want to protect the industry through attractive pricing or assisting in activities such as research and development. For example, Lightweight Finance relies heavily on online distributors and ancillary services. These suppliers cater to multiple online content creators across multiple industries. There is, however, competition and alternatives across internet hosting and content distribution platforms. This risk is medium. The next point to consider within the bargaining power of suppliers
is the switching costs for industry participants. The bargaining power of suppliers is strengthened if switching costs are high for industry participants. For example, 1. Changes in complex software such as moving from SAP to Oracle. 2. Physical premises located close to a supplier. For example, Lightweight Finance can switch suppliers given various alternatives in the market. However, switching costs will be high as a dependency on any specific platform is established. Therefore, the risk is high. The next point to consider within the bargaining power of suppliers is the supplier product differentiation. Where products offered by suppliers are highly differentiated, switching costs will be high. For example, in relation to Lightweight Finance, online distribution and ancillary services are relatively standardized. Content can be made available via more than one supplier in a reasonably consistent manner. Therefore, the risk is low. The next point to consider within the bargaining power of suppliers is the lack of substitutes. If there are no alternatives available, supplier groups will have significant bargaining power. For example, 1. Brain surgeons. 2. Rocket scientists. 3. Certain pharmaceuticals. For example, in relation to Lightweight Finance, online suppliers face strong competition and their services can be easily replaced if required. The risk is low. The next point to consider within the bargaining power of suppliers is the threat of forward integration. If industry participants make too much money relative to suppliers, they will induce suppliers to enter the market. For example, in relation to Lightweight Finance, online suppliers are unlikely to forward integrate into content creation, given the SME community-driven niche. This risk is low. After considering all these factors in relation to the bargaining power of suppliers, we should consider how we will fight back. For example, Lightweight Finance will produce content in-house in a standardized workflow. Lightweight Finance will distribute content via multiple distribution channels over time to remove centralized power from suppliers. And with that, we can prepare a scorecard for factors impacting the bargaining power of suppliers, our fourth Porter force. Overall, in the case of Lightweight Finance, our scorecard has an average risk level of medium. This makes sense, as Lightweight Finance is relatively dependent on the overall online space. However, does have various options within the online space. And so, we have finalized our fourth of Porter's 5 forces. However, we will need to consider all the forces, as they interact with each other and are applied to our organization simultaneously.
In this video, we considered the fourth of Porter's 5 forces, namely the bargaining power of suppliers. This force identified numerous factors to consider in relation to supplier negotiating power. And so, we continue to add to our detailed analysis of competition as part of our overall strategic analysis. Remember, you should be methodically documenting your findings. They will all form part of your final strategic plan. In the next video, we will move on to the fifth of Porter's 5 forces, namely the threat of substitute products or services. If you enjoyed this content, please like the video, subscribe to our channel, and click on the notification bell. It helps us grow the channel and bring more content to small and medium business owners and managers. Also, be sure to check the description below for any related product affiliate links. And finally, please comment on the video or click on our community tab to further interactions and updates.